Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutrabhashya Kritav Vande Bhagavantav Punah Punah Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Hari Om. To claim our true nature as Brahman, we have to deal with a lot of our emotional problems. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, Raga, Dvesha, so many of them. Our attachments, our aversions, our desires, anger, greed, delusion, pride, jealousy, so many things. They are all the results of three layers of obstacles are there. Ajnana, Samshaya, and Viparyaya. Ignorance, doubts, and erroneous notions. And they have to be removed through Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, respectively. So we saw Tasmat Sarva Prayatnena Bhavabandha Vimuktaye Swaireva Yatnaha Kartavyaha Rogadaviva Panditaihi.
Therefore, the wise take the initiative, put forth effort, and you have to do it yourself. Shankaracharya gives an example. To cure your illness, you have to take the medicine. And smart people do that and observe all the necessary dietary restrictions as well. Okay, Guruji, you've been talking about it so much. I understand. I will put forth the effort. But when are you going to start the teaching? So now the Guru is ready to start the teaching. But before that, he praises the student again for having asked a wonderful set of questions. Yasvayadya krita prashnaha variyan शास्त्रविन्मतः सूत्रप्रायो निगूढ़ार्थः ज्ञातव्यश्च मुमुक्षुभिः. The question you have asked is indeed great, and it has been approved by all great acharyas that the student should ask these questions. And you have put them very briefly, precisely you asked what need to be asked. And yet, with deeply hidden implications. That is the question you asked. And answers to these questions must be known. These answers, the seeker of liberation must know to get liberated. Therefore, Shrunusva avahitaha vidvan yanmaya samudiryate tadetat shravanat sadyah bhavabandat vimokshiyase. So listen to my answers carefully. You asked wonderful questions. I will give the answer it deserves. And you listen to it attentively, with great alertness. Because by listening to these answers, you will get freed. You will get the freedom you are seeking. And you will be liberated immediately. So Shankaracharya first emphasizes the qualifications that are necessary for the seeker. For the spiritual aspirant, they should have these necessary qualifications. Mokshasya hetya pratamo nigadyate vairagyam atyantam anitya vastushu tatas samaschapi damastitiksha nyasah prasakta akila karmana bhrisham. Basically reviewing the sadhana chatushraya sampatti only, we have talked about in great detail. Extreme dispassion to all, ephemeral things should be there, mastery over the mind, senses, and withdrawal from activities, etc. So now we continue with verse 70. Let us read. Tatashruti tanmananam satatva Tatashruti mananam satatva dhyanam chiram nitya nirantaram mune dhyanam chiram nitya nirantaram mune tato vikalpam parametya vidvan tato vikalpam parametya vidvan ihaiva nirvana sukham samsrachati ihaiva nirvana sukham samsrachati tatashruti tanmananam satatva dhyanam chiram nitya nirantaram mune tato vikalpam parametya vidvan ihaiva nirvana sukham samsrachati. In the previous shloka, the first stage has been said, that is, getting the sadhana chatushtaya. And that has to be done through a religious life. This religious life alone, the Vedic way of living, elaborately discussed in the Bhagavad Gita also as Karma Yoga plus Upasana Yoga. Shankaracharya does not deal with this religious life in Vivekacu because he assumes that as Vivekacu students, you cross that first stage. If one has not crossed, they have to concentrate on that also. So religious life will give jnana yogyata. I've said this many times. Those are preparatory steps. With that, you become eligible to embark upon this jnana yoga. Okay, assuming one has that, what is the next step? Tataha. After that, then alone, one has to enter jnana yoga, and that consists of these three stages: Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam, which is the philosophy section that comes after religion. So this is Vedanta, and that comes after Veda Purva Bhaga, after the initial portion of the Vedas. So we are going to deal with Brahma Shastram, Brahma Vidya, and that comes after Dharma Shastram, Dharma Vidya. So he says, Tataha Shrutihi. Be very careful. Shrutihi does not mean Veda here. Shravanam. Therefore, Shravanam means scriptural Shravanam, to find out what is the essential nature, the essential teachings of the scriptures. That we need to understand, and that is the purpose of Shravanam. It's meant for Ajnana Nivritti, removing the ignorance, and therefore you know what is being said in the scriptures. It's an elaborate process because finding out the essential teaching itself is not an easy task. That is why so many acharyas have written commentaries on the various components of the Shastras. And sometimes it looks like each acharya is saying something different. Some of them say moksha cannot be here and now. You have to go to some other loka after death. So what is the essential teaching itself seems to be controversial. Therefore, I should know what is this essence of this teaching. So Shravanam is a systematic process, a long process. And through that, going through all that journey, I must find out what is the essence of the teaching. Then I should be convinced. I should be convinced about what I have heard, what the Shastras are saying. Scripture is saying, I am free here and now. It's not after death. It's not in some other loka. That is the teaching of the Upanishad. I have to gather this, and I must get conviction also. So the first process is Shravana. Okay, I know the scripture is saying I am free here and now, but my experience is totally different. Shastra says I am free, but I don't feel it. I feel bound only. I don't experience freedom. I feel, matter of fact, limited at so many levels. So I have to think a lot, analyze a lot, and I must be convinced that there is no contradiction between my experience and what the scripture is teaching. My experience is duality. The scriptures, they talk about non-duality. My experience is sorrow. I'm facing so many troubles in my life. But Shastra says, I am Ananda Swarupa. I am the very embodiment of happiness. My experience is limitation. Scriptures say I am free. At every level, what I am experiencing and what the scriptures say, there seems to be a contradiction. So I should be able to reconcile all that and be convinced that there is no contradiction. My experience should not contradict the fact. It should be a matter of clear understanding. Just like we experience sunrise, sunset, etc., but we also have a clear understanding that the sun does not rise or set. Scientific explanation we must understand and agree and be convinced that indeed is the truth. Why am I experiencing sunrise and sunset? Once I clearly understand, then I will see that it is mithya, like that. Similarly, having received the central teaching, the main message of the Upanishad, I ask questions to myself whether I'm convinced or not. If I'm not convinced, why am I not? I myself, with the data collected from the Upanishad, I must answer those questions. So this process is called mananam, removing the intellectual problems. Then comes the final stage. Okay. The intellectual problems, questions have been answered, but I still have these emotional blocks, obstacles, and they are extremely powerful because our emotional personality has been developed not in just this birth. This is more recent, more vivid, but I have gone through so many births, and the cumulative effect of all those impact on emotion is still with me. Each of that, every one of them has to be consciously removed. Because of that, I have this viparyaya or viparita bhavana. And that has to be removed. That viparita bhavana is nothing but raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, matsarya. And there should be that nivritti, removal of that. And that has to be done through the process of, through the sadhana of nididhyasanam. All of those obstacles, that is what is stopping me from assimilating this knowledge and being established in this knowledge. This I have to do myself. This is an individual effort. In both mananam and nididhyasanam, the teacher can only play a secondary role. In mananam, a little bit of teacher's involvement is possible. If you go back to the teacher and ask your questions, ask him to explain further and see any flaws in your questions, that he can do. So he can be a little bit involved, but when it comes to nididhyasana, it's pretty much on your head. The teacher at best can talk about the preparations that you should have. Bahiranga, Antaranga sadhanas, what are required, and all that. He can talk about it, but you have to do it. Of course, in Shravanam, the teacher is the primary role player. He's teaching you. Only thing you must do is to listen attentively, not tentatively. That's all. Therefore, the author says, Shrutihi Tat Mananam. Tat refers to the Upanishadic teaching, reflecting upon what you heard. The teaching only, not something else. The basic foundation should be the words of the Upanishad, of the Shastra. You cannot deviate from that. I have doubts about all this, so I forget about it. And something that I don't have any doubt about it, I will embrace that. That's no good. That will keep you in samsara. So tat mananam, shravana vidyaya sa mananam. What I have heard, I should reflect upon. Then sa tattva dhyanam. You have to meditate on that reality, the truth. Which here in this case is that Atman or Brahman. So Shankaracharya says, Chiram Nitya Nirantaram Munehe. A sincere, dedicated, serious, spiritual aspirant has to do all these three for a very long time. Nirantaram, Nitya, Chiram, consistently, not in fits and starts, without any gap, giving top priority to that. Our emotional personality cannot be changed that easily. Whatever you do, benefits will come. Benefit will be proportionally less or more depending upon how much of effort you put in. The result of this is tataha, thereafter. Thereafter, whereafter? Means after Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, Anantaram. After all that, as a consequence of all these three, Avikalpam Prametya Vidwan. That intelligent person, that Vidwan, Avikalpam Param Etya, attains Param, the highest, the supreme, the ultimate. That is Brahman, which is Avikalpam, free from any division, free from Pramata, Prameyam, Pramanam, subject, object, instrument, triad. How does he attain that? He understands that all divisions belong to matter. They do not belong to consciousness. That avikalpa consciousness, I am. In that undivided consciousness, matter and the material divisions exist. The Upanishad talks about the three states of experience as Jagrat, waking, Swapna, dream, and Sushupti. In Jagrat and Swapna, material divisions arise and I, the consciousness, support them. In the Sushupti Avastha, in deep sleep, all matter and material divisions dissolve, and I am the witness of the dissolved conditions also. Therefore, in me, the undivided consciousness, all these divisions arise and divisions dissolve. This recognition is called Abhikalpa Parapraptihi, Brahma Praptihi, attainment of Brahman. This alone is called Jivan Mukti. The freedom from divisions is called moksha, because division alone is responsible for all our problems. The division alone, the duality alone causes likes, dislikes, jealousy, limitation, mortality, and therefore freedom from the division is freedom from samsara. Therefore, avikalpa param is equal to moksha. And that is said, having freed from all these divisions, ihaiva, ihaeva, here itself, while living in this body itself, nirvana sukham samruchati. The joy of freedom, nirvana sukham. So here jivan mukti, liberation while living, is talked about. It is not a posthumous thing after death. No. It is while living here and now. So thus in verses 69 and 70, Shankaracharya has summarized the two stages of sadhana, Bahiranga and Antaranga sadhanas. Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, preparatory and direct, means religion and philosophy, pravritti and nivritti. All that he has beautifully summarized. So the entire spiritual program has been chalked out. Now begins the detailed teaching. But before that, a short introductory verse, verse 71. Let us read. Yad bodhavyam tade tavedanim. Yad bodhavyam tavedanim. Atmanatma vivechanam. Atmanatma vivechanam. Tadyuchyate maya samyak. Tadyuchyate maya samyak. श्रुत्वात्मन्यावधारय श्रुत्वात्मन्यावधारय यद्बोधव्यं तवेदानीम् आत्मानात्मविवेचनम् तदुच्यते मया सम्यक् श्रुत्वात्मन्यवधारय. So here the teacher introduces the topic, which is going to start from the next verse. For that he gives an introduction. So he says, Yad bodhavyam, that which is to be known. I'll tell you. Among the 7 questions that the student has asked, the main topic is Atma Anatma Vivechanam, separating, discriminating between Atma, the self, and Anatma, the not self. Atma, the self, and Anatma, the not self. Separating these two, differentiating these two, discriminating between Atma and Anatma. What is Atma? What is Anatma? There are two things. I, and this, and this. I is called the subject. And this is called the object. These two things are there. So Atma means, what is the subject? Who are you? Who am I? That question. And Anatma is what constitutes the field of objects. Sounds so simple, but there's a lot of confusion there. Who am I? Am I the knower or what is known? Figuring this out through inquiry. That is called Atma Anatma Vivechanam, discrimination. It is required because they are together. You're not able to separate them physically by experience. We'll not be able to separate them. Even science has not succeeded in separating matter and consciousness. That's why what is the nature of consciousness? Still a mystery. Mystery only, even for science. We have made tremendous advances in science. How much of advancement we have made is mind-boggling indeed. But that science has not figured out this consciousness yet. So many theories are there. They have not come to a consensus. Therefore, all our conclusions regarding consciousness are not science based because science has not arrived there yet. It's not based on perception. We are not able to separate the two perceptually. They are all based on scriptural database. So Atma Anatma Vivechanam Bodhavyam. This discrimination, this separation between the self and the not self should be known. Idanim tava. You have to do it now. How will you know? Okay. It is beyond the senses. All that you have are the sense organs, mind, intellect, etc. The external sense organs, internal sense organs, that's all you have. And this Atma is beyond all that. How will you know? So he says, Tat Maya Samyak Uchyate. I'll tell you. Okay. This is only to Shabda Pramana, not by any other Pramana, not through perception. So I will teach you. I'm going to very clearly present this division between these two and Shrutva. And having listened to it, may you listen to this very carefully. The word Samyak should also go with Shrutva. Samyak Uchyate, I'll tell you very clearly, very well. You also listen good. Listen up. Listen attentively. Avadharaya. May you ascertain in your mind, make it very clear. It should not be my knowledge. It should be scriptural knowledge. It should be your knowledge. So avadharanam means nishchaya jnanam, clear knowledge, doubt-free, error-free jnana. You should get total conviction. That is called avadharana. Where should you ascertain it? Where should you get it? Atmani, in your mind. Your mind and intellect should get convinced. That's where it happens, not elsewhere. So now he starts. First, he starts with Anatma, verse 72. Majjastimedav palarakta Majjastimedav palasrakta Tvagavair Dhatu bere biranvitam. Tvagavair Dhatu bere biranvitam. Padoru vaksho bhuja prishtamastakaihi. Padoru vaksho bhuja prishtamastakaihi. Angair upangair upayuktametat. Angairupangairupayoktamentat Majjastimedah palarakta Tvagvayair Dhatubirebiranvitam Padoruvaksho bhujaprishtamastakaihi Angairupangairupayoktamentat. We can say Vivekacu really begins from this verse onward. Now begins the main teaching. A big preamble. So many, how many classes? We've already had 26 lectures. And we are at the tail end of the 77th lecture. This is where it all begins. All previous shlokas are preparatory shlokas. And this, starting here, the 7 questions put by the student in the 49th verse. Those questions are being answered. Just to recall your memory, 7 questions. Ko nama bandha katamesha agatah katam pratishtasya katam vimokshah ko savanatma paramah katma tayor vivekah katametaducyatam. So these are the 7 questions. Shankaracharya does not answer them in the same order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not his. What he's going to answer same? No, not necessarily. He will choose his own. He rearranges the order for his convenience. The first question he takes up for us is Kaha asau anatma. Kaha asau anatma. What is the not self, the matter? What is anatma? That's the first question he is going to take up. He will present anatma as the shariratrayam, the 3 bodies, the physical body, the subtle body, and the causal body. The external world is also anatma, matter. No one questions about that. Everybody knows. And they accept the external world of objects is matter. The objects are different from me. There's no problem with that. No mistakes are committed with regard to that. I am this glass of water. Nobody says. That is different. No doubt about it. The confusion begins with yourself, the physical body. Whether the physical body is I, or the physical body is like that glass. Similarly, what about the mind? Many people, they're able to differentiate between the body and the mind, and they see that mind is more conscious. The body is being directed by the mind, they figure it out. So they say mind is the conscious principle. Quite often come across the phrase mind and matter. Obviously, people think that mind is something different from matter. That the mind is a conscious entity. It has sentience, they think, because they very clearly see the difference between body and mind. This being a little bit more subtle and all that, I am being driven by the mind so much. So they think the mind is that conscious principle. Shankaracharya, with the help of Upanishads, will show that the mind, the Sukshma Sharira, is also matter only. Finally, the Karana Sharira, which is nothing but all of them in a seed form before creation. That also is matter only. will very clearly show that these shariras come under anatma. Okay. If all that is anatma, what is atma? He will show that atma is distinct, different, separate from all these, and that is the consciousness principle. So the scriptures have defined atma, the chaitanyam, consciousness, as nirgunam, free from attributes, nirvikaram, free from modification, nirvikalpam, free from divisions, anantam, free from all limitations of time, space, and objects. So remember these four words: nirgunam, nirvikaram, nirvikalpam, and anantam. It is the definition we should keep in mind throughout this discussion. Now we will discuss anatma as different from atma. I said anatma consists of sharira trayam, the matter principle. And this will be discussed from verse 72 to 123. It's such a long discussion. What, 51 verses. In Vedanta, the matter principle consisting of three bodies is called anatma. We will first take up the stula sharir, the gross body. It is a subdivision of anatma, and stula sharira will be discussed from verse 72 to 91. Your gross body is going to be talked about in 20 verses. Just on the physical body. That is why Vivekacu is such an elaborate treatise, whatever, treatise on that. Now the physical body, he says, is a bundle of various parts or various limbs. In Ayurveda Shastra, they are called dhatus, ingredients. Every ingredient of the body is called dhatu because each one sustains the body. Datte iti dhatuhu, that which sustains the body, keeps it alive. What keeps the body alive is called dhatuhu. If there are deficiency in one of the ingredients or too much also, then sooner or later the body will get sick. Once there is an imbalance, there is sickness, not rectified, may even result in death. The modern science calls the ingredients as sodium, potassium, calcium, sugar, cholesterol, insulin, thyroid, vitamin D, and all that. The division may differ, but the body is a bundle of matter principle. Now, what is the division according to our traditional Shastra? What are the dhatus? He says the division of our traditional Shastra is Majja, Asti, Medaha, Phala, Rakta, Charma, and Tvak. Sapta dhatus. 7 dhatus are there. 7 ingredients are there. Majja. Majja means marrow. Bone marrow. Asti means bone. Majja means that marrow. Okay. Then asti means bone, I said. Medaha means fat. Phala, muscle or flesh. Rakta, blood. Charma, the inner skin. Tvaka, outer skin. All these are avayayihi, known as dhatubihi dhatus. These are the 7 ingredients. The body is evihi anvitam, composed of these 7 ingredients. The body is. This is the technical definition. The layman divides the body differently. Pada, feet. Uru, thigh. Vakshaha, chest. Bhuja, shoulders. Prishta, back. And Mastaka, head. So the layman divides this in terms of these parts. And the various limbs consisting of leg, thighs, etc. The various ingredients consisting of bone marrow, blood, flesh, or a bundle of chemicals. These are the various way the physical body is described in terms of its constituents, ingredients, components, whatever. Then angaihi, upangaihi, upayuktam etat. This body is endowed with angaihi. Anga, not only the primary limbs, but also secondary also is there. Upalinga. Bukanga is also there. Upanga. Secondary limbs also there. For example, head is the anga, primary part, but within that, the eyes are there, ears are there, nose, etc. They're all upanga, secondary parts. The hand is the primary limb, but within that itself, the palm is there, fingers are there, nail is there. They're all secondary limbs. The upper arm, the forearm, so many things. It can have tertiary parts also. If you take the finger itself, it can be subdivided into the nail. If you take the nail itself, it can be further subdivided. All that is there. While discussing the Stula Shariram, why does Shankaracharya specify that there are so many parts in the body? Isn't it all that? But there is head, feet, hands, well known. Significance is this. The scriptures define consciousness as divisionless. We are clearly experiencing the body to be full of divisions. So you get that point? This is what he is driving at. This is the point. Scriptures talk about consciousness as divisionless. But here, the body is clearly has so many parts. So you should be able to deduce that this body is not consciousness. You should see that very clearly. And that is how he has taken this approach of describing the body with all its divisions, parts, avayava. Okay. So how can this body full of those division, parts, etc. be the Atma, which is nirvikalpa, free from all divisions? How can this body with all these divisions be the undivided consciousness? So this important question should be kept in mind. So for starters, we begin with this. More of it we will see in the next class. Okay. Next week, we will not be meeting. I'll talk about it after saying Purnamata. Om Purnamata Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva